even when I'm about to make a score, just harboring a little bit of resentment towards the busting up of the PGA Tour, where they're scrambling trying to find some identifiable commodity, one of whom would be Rory McIlroy. If they could get McIlroy, they get to a kind of, semi-Tiger Woods kind of stature in terms of winning, it would certainly be a pleasant transformation for them than trying to sell Scotty Scheffler, who the only time he got anybody excited is when he got arrested. He was dragging that cop around like he was Randy Moss, which was a bullshit thing. I mean, when you really look at it, how does it? I understand that not everybody would recognize Scotty Scheffler, but you're a cop who's assigned to kind of monitor the traffic at the gate going into the golf course, and you're going to go ahead and give this guy a hard time and take him away in handcuffs. Get the fuck out of here. He's leaving the tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 2 feet from the gate. You couldn't just wave him in?
The whole thing was freaking
hanging onto the car door like he's surfing. That was ridiculous.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Defo Show, along with one Mike Lubie Lubitz. I almost pulled that shirt out today myself. Is Croatia playing? What's the occasion for the Croatia shirt?
Well, I don't have red, and I wanted to honor the Panthers.
Oh, okay.
So you do have the Euros. And
why don't you just cross out Croatia and write Panthers above it?
No, I mean, it is the Euros, and I don't think they're in it anymore or ever were, but it's Europe.
All right. Oh, sure looks good on you. You look good wearing red. I'm Jeff DeForest. That's Mike Lubie Lubitz. Happy to have you guys along for the ride. It does look like the Panther Parade is a continuation as I look out my window here. Kind of dreary in South Florida as we get into the month of July. Well, we should begin this show like we did our morning briefing with the joke that Jim Sarney sent me, because I think it's appropriate here.
Okay.
As and this came from some source called the Morning Brew. The Morning Brew. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Sarney sends me this. An asteroid flew past Earth this weekend, missing us by a comfortable 180,000 miles. Retired umpire Angel Hernandez called it a strike.
He really would.
I thought it was right on the corner. What are you talking about? Caught a piece of the black. All right, good to be with you. A degenerate Friday. It was, followed by the success of the Panthers again over the weekend. Everybody was excited about it. You opted not to go to the parade. I think that was a very wise decision, Mike Lubie Lubitz, even though it was kind of a wild celebration. It was fun to watch it on TV because of the chaos that was created by the weather. Impeding the chances of having a smooth broadcast, which was not going to be easy anyway. Our local stations, they do a really good job, I believe. I really... you go around the country and you see other, even in major cities, right? Is Philadelphia, that's considered a bigger market than South Florida, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that like number 4 or 5 in the country?
5 or 6, yeah. It's a top 5 or 6 in Florida. South Florida's 10 to 15, something like that.
I'm always amazed at how absolutely, I mean, it's like a night and day thing, the production on local newscasts here and the people performing versus, say, a city like Philadelphia, which I catch their news a lot when I'm in Atlantic City, and you're looking going, really? This is like major market shit?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, it's funny. It looks
and in general, I mean, they do a good job throwing it around, right? I guess what? Is this just training for the hurricane season, which, by the way, there's already some schmutz about to, like, knock out Jamaica?
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten started yet, man. We're on barrel, and, it's a threatening Category 4. Not that we need to worry about global warming or anything like that, Donnie. Wasn't that great? It's funny, too, because I keep reading about, not to get off on a wild political tangent here, but, naturally, we all saw what happened there with Joe Biden. I mean, the guy fell apart. He choked.
No, he was a cadaver. I mean, look, there's no other way to say it. It was
ugly. It was almost startlingly bad. Even if you were a giant Biden fan, you're just watching and going, "This really is pathetic." I mean, it was sad to see. You can't be that far gone and be the president of the United States. And then, but if you listen to the other guy, like you were saying, he's even further gone. I'd rather have a guy that was like in total dementia than somebody that's out of his mind, delusional.
Look, I don't want. It's funny. Mayo and I are in this. I'm not arguing. I'm again.
What we saw was tragic, unfortunately, for the chances of this guy getting reelected.
I'm just look. I don't. That's why I don't understand the people who are behind. I don't get behind any political candidate like that. Like I'm not. I don't have a Biden sign. I don't give a fuck. Like my thing is, I just hate Trump and I want to be Trump. And
that's it. He cannot be president. Anybody else?
I don't know how you look, Mar. All these uber liberals are like, you have to switch them. To who and when? Like that's
too late.
Is you can't. And look, he probably isn't going to win. I'm not even fighting any. I'm not delusional. They're 4 months out. Like what? Like you're admitting you're going to lose at that point. Like at least fake Biden. Look what he did Friday, where he looked strong. Even if
I mean, all he had to do was do that during the debate.
Just do that a lot,
and Trump would be finished at this stage.
You're not wrong,
because his babbling would have stood out as being just absolutely insane. Rhetoric that this guy's been spewing out forever, including saying that it was Nancy Pelosi's fault that January 6th happened. I mean, what kind of fucking idiot?
They were hunting her down.
I made a mistake yesterday. I just couldn't take it anymore. Somebody that was on my Facebook page had posted that they were still voting for Trump despite the 34 felonies. All right, like this is something to be proud of. That you're this much of a fucking idiot that you're going to vote for this guy in spite of the fact that not only is he a criminal, but almost forgotten, pushed to the side is this business where he attacked this poor woman while she was coming out of the dressing room of a Bergdorf Goodman in New York. And there's no real denial of that. He says he never met the woman, of course. And meanwhile, a jury, 12 people look and say, "You did it, Donnie.
Yes,
you fat prick."
Yes.
And this doesn't disturb anybody. So it got to me. I'm just like, please, enough already. So I just wrote something, in response there saying, this is Mr. Grab him by the pussy without using the word pussy.
Yeah. Good for you. I would have.
Because it amazes me that any self-respecting woman could cast a vote of any kind for this guy to do anything except leave the country.
Well, that's this woman that put it on TikTok or something because you still see look, vote for you. I don't care. It's just to me to be this pro Trump, like you're telling.
How could you embrace this guy for any reason? I don't see it. I understand Biden's half dead.
He's dead, and that's fine. Look, don't vote for him. It's fine. Whatever. I look, if they switch, I'll vote for whoever. I'll vote for Whitmer. I'll vote for Newsom. I just don't know if in undecided or independents are. But this woman posted, I love making liberals uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever I see a woman who's willing to vote for a man who is convicted 34 times, openly doesn't like women, and openly treats women like garbage by words and actions, and by every account is an utter piece of garbage. Yes, a woman choosing to vote for him does make me uncomfortable because I can't fucking comprehend it.
I don't get it, man. I was gonna say something like, hey, explain this comment to your daughter. But then I realized, well, what a fucking fool I am. I got sucked into this thing, just like I did now here, when we could have been talking about sports and all the glorious stuff that's going on. All right, so you opt not to go to the parade. Was it true that the reason they had 200,000 fans there because they had announced online some phony account, somebody that got hacked, and announced online that they were giving away handicap parking stickers to the first 100,000? I mean, how did they draw that many people in the rain? That's great. This is supposedly a fair weather town, Lubie, where we have fair weather fans. If the Panthers are 2 points out of a playoff spot 6 weeks into the season, do you think the arena's empty and they start crying they need a new facility? Probably so.
Yeah, they'll be bitching. I mean, look, that's why I embrace the good as long as it lasts because, look, we're quick.
And it's a very likable team, no doubt about it. Maybe that's true of all hockey teams. I'm not sure. But this is a very likable team. The people, I mean, they couldn't have sounded any more distinguished after they won the Stanley Cup. I mean, guys that you didn't even really know were on the roster, like Poso, and so many others that maybe weren't the stars that really were the composition of the core of the team, but came on. And this Bill Zito, he picked up virtually everybody.
Yes.
Guy's incredible, huh? I mean, how did that happen? We went from Dale Talon, who was, you talk about a guy that came off as somewhat of a shot fighter. It was Dale Talon.
Yes.
With his old school hockey. I mean, he would have dug up Toe Blake to be his coach. he was like, he seemed to be a fairly distinguished gentleman, but he reminded me of the typical hockey hard-on that you used to perceive, in the GM's office. And, at a time, too, where the general manager had a complete control over players and, it was able to dictate a lot more in the way that the team was not only composed, but the whole attitude and philosophy of the team. But it was too suppressing, wasn't it? Dale Talon, his whole tenure here, for some reason, it just didn't work.
Look, it was the architect, and no one denies, of the Blackhawks, and I think they won 3 in 5 years. I mean, it was like the Giants.
Brilliant. I mean, the guy had his day, no doubt.
They were winning one like every other year. So, and,
Yeah.
and he was the guy that drafted Kane and drafted Tames. So and he did, I think, have a big part. People will give him his flowers, as the kids say.
Yeah.
That he did start this, right? Like he did bring. I think he's the one that brought in Barkov and
He had Barkov. Ekblad would have been his guy, right?
Huberdeau, which didn't land.
Doobie turned into Kachuk.
Chuck. So the problem, and we said this because they felt close, and they had.
He signed Bobrovsky.
They felt close, right? We even gave him credit at the time because we were confused. He couldn't. It's funny, the exact thing Zito did, which is what not only took them over the top, which has made them literally a perennial winner now, was what Talon couldn't do. He couldn't go and get the young or veteran dudes to put around the core and take him to another level. He just failed every time. Every move he made in that regard sucked. Whereas, if you look at the articles,
the infusion of guys that were role players on that team by Zito, incredible.
Forsling, and he gets Oso in the middle of the year, Terashenko, and it's like, what the fuck? Like every move.
Rodriguez, I mean, what was floating around out there? A lot of teams could have had him. He didn't ever look like he did in terms of being an essential component of their championship. So no, a lot of great moves, and it's a feel-good story. And I really, I'm doing my walk of life, Lubie, and I'm thinking, I hope Lubie's not coming to this fucking thing, because I mean, I'm what, about maybe 5 miles north, not even, of where the parade was taking place, and I'm walking my walk of life on A1A, and I'm looking at the schmutz in the sky and thinking, this is really going to be a disaster. But to the credit of the people of South Florida, they hung in there, they made it festive, and the team couldn't have been any more relatable, especially our man, the French Joe Philbin. How great was that? I didn't see all of it. I was out at the time when he finally made the speech. But wow, I mean, from the French Joe Philbin to the French Joe Pesci.
Yes.
Paul Maurice.
Yes.
What did you, I mean, you had to love it, Lubie. I mean, just watching this, and I'm sure Rino Cerbone was applauding it, because he's going to join us in about 15 minutes and help us. I mean, could he have had? He probably had the signature moment with the Stanley Cup, maybe in its history. Is that possible?
Well, that's the thing.
This thing will stand out of Luongo eating pasta with Reno grating cheese over. My God, I mean, can you think of another scene? We've seen a lot of them in Stanley Cup history with the players and the funky things that go on with the cup, including Kachuk at the elbow room and taking it into the ocean.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about this. I mean, in seasons past, but that may be the all-time prototype picture of Stanley Cup celebration. Rino Cerbone. So he's going to join us later on. So we go right to the source. I didn't realize this. Did you, Lubie? I found this out yesterday in a conversation with the great Tommy Fox, that John Congemi, did you know his brother is an assistant coach, or somebody in his family is an assistant coach with the Panthers?
No.
John Congemi.
No.
Wow.
Not even a little.
I don't know that. I still can't figure out who it is. But, I guess he has strong ties, because Congemi was pictured hoisting the Stanley Cup.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
I thought I saw a picture of John with his family, and they were hoisting the Stanley Cup. So we're all over the cup. We'll get into that. But no, it's great. I mean, a real good demonstration of the real spirit of South Florida. And it was also interesting. Mostly young people in the crowd there. Us old geezers weren't going out there to stand in the rain.
It's rain. I mean, that separates us. Because that's the thing, is back in the day, I probably wouldn't have cared. It's just, the heat, whatever, is one thing, but standing wet is not fun. Like, it's just, and
and a giant crowd.
And leave. I've just done it before, and it's just not enjoyable. So we did a 180. We're like, nah, we're good.
I don't have any desire to be part of crowds like that at this point. I mean, I'm going to turn into an old geezer. I have already, but I mean, it's really, this is a number that's a little bit scary. 73. And a friend had checked out, I guess it was Friday, at 72. Guy that I worked for, and you've heard the name many times, probably deserves some acknowledgement here on the show, because he did keep my my lifeline to having a career going a couple of times when times had gotten difficult or looked like I was about to disappear. Steve Lappa, you've heard the name Steve Lappa in the fabled Lappa Nation.
Yes, yes.
And I want to give this guy credit for this because it was, one of those revolutionary things that changed everybody that was on the talent side of the business's life forever in terms of earning potential. I think he initiated when 790 at one point, I believe, was WNWS a long time ago. When I first moved to town, and WNWS was one of, I want to say 4 all-news stations that were on the AM band, Libby. Can you imagine? Not 1, not 2, not 3, we're going LeBron, but 4 all-news stations. They had all news in the morning, and then they had a bunch of talk shows after that. One of the hosts, of course, was the late, great Neil Rogers, who was on from 8 to 12 at night on this station.
Jesus.
I mean, signal, you could barely hear it in the parking lot. And here's one of the great broadcasters, certainly ever to grace the South Florida microphone, one of the most influential guys here. And he's on nights well into his tenure here. I mean, he'd been here a few years already. You would have thought somebody would have just, immediately said, hey, wait a minute, man, we got to have this guy on our station here. He's going to get things going. But Lappa was the first guy to ever, I think, have the hosts of shows read live endorsements.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, I don't know that he innovated that altogether. Probably was going on before that, but you didn't hear a lot of that. I guess you did. But he really brought it to a forefront here with the hosts in town. So considering how much money was made by various people that have been on the air doing live endorsements, we owe this man a tribute. Anyway, he checked out at 72. So here I am coming in at a senile old 73, Lubie. Mm-hmm. So you get a little bit jaded, but it was nice to see a lot of young faces in the crowd there. Yeah. So that bodes very well for the immediate future anyway of the Panthers franchise. And we're going to talk to Rino about everything that went on there in just a few minutes. Other things, and as much as you love a parade, Lubie, of a championship celebration, there is nothing like a parade of free agency in the NBA during the off season to get your mind motoring.
It's crazy. It's just crazy to me. Like, what guys, we talk shit about the quarterbacks in the NFL because every guy now has to be the highest paid guy the minute he's up for a contract, which I still don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's like in NBA, if any guy's available, well, we have to pay him $35 million.
It's insane, isn't it? I mean, Klay Thompson, I was a Klay Thompson fan, and I wish he hadn't lost his shot, being a guy that liked to hoist him from the outside. You always respect the guys that can do it and do it consistently and shoot a high percentage from all kinds of range, a variety of shots. And sure enough, but he looks like a shot fighter, doesn't he?
Yes.
He does.
Yes.
It's like, when do you ever lose your stroke? I don't ask Andy. I mean, you never lose your stroke. You may have a stroke, but you're never like Joe Biden did during the debate. But you don't lose the shot. I mean, if you went to the park right now, I mean, maybe you couldn't make moves or whatever, but you could probably stand in a corner and within, maybe the first one's a brick because you got to get the range and the motion going. But even with no legs underneath you, you still can make shots. You could stand at the free throw line and knock down 8 out of 10 anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, even with no warm up or practice or anything. But Thompson seemed to lose his stroke, didn't he?
Well, that's the thing is maybe it's because he can't get the shot off anymore. I don't know.
Could be the legs.
Like once in a while they were showing like he had a great half. He had this game, but long stretches he was doing nothing. Like he was literally doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like he's just not the and what. That's the thing that sucks is what made him.
And he was having really, really poor games also.
Yes,
he was having Starks-like games at different times.
Well, and that's the thing. Look, if you can get him for a cheap deal, that's fine. But the cheap deal's $16 million. It's like, I'm pro worker.
Imagine you got to trade a guy so you can clear enough cap space. I was watching something where their capologist on ESPN was explaining how the Dallas Mavericks would have to get rid of a guy that was of some value to them. And then they would have $17 million to pay Klay Thompson to come out there and possibly be an even more deteriorating bricklayer than he was last year.
Yeah.
That's weird. Yeah. The salaries, though, I mean, Emmanuel Quickly, $25 million a year. in the NBA. Oh, is this just coming from sneaker blood money out of China? Where is this? Is it
No, it's
television revenue? If
TV money.
TNT's dropping out of NBA coverage, which does that not very formidably put them on the map as a sports entity? I mean, are you thinking, oh yeah, well they also do like what do they do? The U.S. Open or something? They have
Baseball. I think
some golf. They got a little baseball. But essentially, they really rose to prominence as a sports entity. You didn't think of TNT as much of anything except reruns of Barnaby Jones.
Yep, Matlock. Yep.
Until they put together, the Ernie Johnson team there with Barkley and Shaq and Kenny Smith.
Yep.
And then broadcast these games, and they have good broadcasters on the games, even though you're not a fan of Holler and Kevin Harlan.
He's okay.
I could live without Harlan. I really could. Although we had him on an interview, and the guy is extremely well spoken and eloquent.
He just yells. I mean, look, that's my thing. It's better than, and I get it. Dorsberg and whatever ESPN has, it's not always like I like their play-by-play people actually aren't bad, but their color analysts are so bad that it. But like I like Mark. I actually like Mark, Mark Jones, the one that's from here.
Mark Jones, yeah,
Guides here. He's
good. He's understated and very credible. Yeah,
they always pair him with like people who are like he's always with Dorsberg, and it's like. What she just talks a lot of the time, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you saying?" And I don't give a shit about your sex. Like, it has nothing to do with that. I honestly don't know what the fuck she's saying half the time. Like, the professor made fun. Like, it ended up happening in the game that the weird thing she said, but it was only because Joe Mazzulla is just as stupid as she is at times. Like,
Nancy Lieberman doesn't want to do television.
I don't know. It's just like that's the problem with ESPN. Like
Joe Lieberman might be better.
Solid. Like SVG's really good. Reggie Miller, even if you hated him as a player, is really good. Like
Reggie Miller's good. He's colorful. Yeah.
The ESPN color people are always so bad. Like JJ Redick,
JJ Redick, I thought was going to be really good at that. He had been interesting on some of the talk shows, and then I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, he wasn't interesting anymore when he was doing the color analysis. I don't know if they told him to tone it down or whatever, but a guy that was very pointed in his commentary when he was talking about, and it's always unusual when you have a player that will talk in unflattering terms about another player and his game.
Yep.
Almost always covering up. Austin Rivers is also a guy that I think has some potential in that category. Anyway, so a lot of moves. The shocker is always to me, I mean, the staggering numerology of the salaries being paid to NBA players that you would consider to be not of the greatest consequence. And, I'm glad, when I see a guy that was deemed to be somewhat of a stiff, like Obi Toppin, went to the Knicks and, had potential, but yet he didn't seem to be worthy of the draft position that he was taking, which used to offend people a great deal. I don't know if it has the same impact anymore. Remember when a guy would have a great career and say he'd been drafted number 6 overall, and even fans of the team would say, yeah, but they could have got him at 7. Like it makes any fucking difference.
If he ends up being good, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. What is wrong with people, Lubie? What is wrong with people?
Good. It's when they're not good that you're like, fuck, they drafted him at 6.
Staggering numbers, though, man. I mean, it's got to be the television rights have to be so exorbitant for TNT to get out of business with all the success that they've had doing it, and tell me it's not even if it was a lost leader for branding the station. It definitely draws viewers, and it gives them some kind of numbers where they can say, okay, I know you don't want to buy Barnaby Jones reruns, but you can't have the NBA without it. Right? Isn't that the way they sell everything? They strong-arm people into buying the one thing that they want, but it has to come with an awful lot of crap. A lot of dead weight goes along with that. But I would think that, I guess they did the math, right? TNT. And said, we can't pay this kind of rights fees.
The ratings are dreadful, actually.
Oh, yeah?
It's funny, yeah. The ratings.
There's not that much. I mean, in general, are you inclined to watch out of town?
No.
I mean, I like watching any sport, basically. But, when you're seeing, like, even a good team, maybe Utah's going against, the Sacramento Kings. Are you tuned in to the whole game?
No, playoffs I watch.
Regular season, I'm talking about.
Playoffs I watch. Regular season NBA is a disaster, and it used to not be. It used to actually do pretty well ratings wise. That's why they pay a lot. That's not the actual case anymore. That's what's interesting. NBC, I guess, just wants to get back into sports so bad that they're willing to hopefully change things with the NBA. I mean, they had a really good relationship for so long that I guess they're thinking that they can. I don't know, because TNT actually had the team there. If you ever were going to tune into sports for personalities, which none of us do, and we've talked about this repeatedly, they were the closest thing to that. I still didn't do it, but if you were going to, they would have been the group that would get you to watch. Like, I don't watch pre, half, or post anything. I would watch them because they were entertaining.
I'm with you on that. Yeah, I anytime those guys were on, I at least checked it out to see what they were getting into. Even if you had something else to do, right? You had stuff on the stove, and here comes Shaq and starts getting into it with Barkley. And even if it was ridiculous, it was the best of that kind of stuff that you could find on TV by far. And, Ernie Johnson, it really deserves a lot of credit for his performance on those shows over the years. The guy is sensational. And then it turns out, even if you didn't like him as an announcer, because when he was first doing baseball play-by-play on TNT, you thought they really pushed him into the job. And then he was hosting golf, but you couldn't have anything but respect for this guy. The way that, when you hear especially his personal story and the sacrifices that this guy makes in his personal life, and you're thinking, man, I'm a real piece of shit compared to this guy. Right? You were at the track during your son's bar mitzvah, DeForest. What are you talking about?
Jesus.
No, he didn't have a bar mitzvah. Rino Cerbone is scheduled to join us. What's the status of that, Lubie? How's it looking?
I heard from him late yesterday, and he was all in. And then I heard again a confirmation when I asked for a time.
Okay.
I have not heard from him this morning.
That's never a good sign.
You asked that question.
He was at the parade yesterday, and I would imagine that was a party that continued well into the night. No?
Heritage is around the corner, and they are open on Sundays.
Oh, that's right. Oh, Jesus Christ. He probably had like half the team in there. Probably shut the place down for a giant Stanley Cup celebration party. We'll see what happens with that. If not, we'll be back. And there are many things to dissect from the sporting world.
You even got into the specifics of the free agency stuff. That's what's funny. The biggest deal that I guess was a Woj bomb at 3 a.m. Yeah. I don't know what to do with it. As a fan of an Eastern Conference team, I'm not scared of the deal. I don't know what
the Paul George thing?
I don't know. Like, the dude's older by just age. By injuries, he's really old.
Yeah.
And then
has he played 16 NBA seasons? Is that possible?
He's been around like that? Early 2000s. For sure. Yeah. Because he wasn't a rookie when those series versus the Pacers with the big three. He was established by then. He was young, but he was established, and that was literally well over a decade ago.
So. Yeah, but it's the square peg round hole thing with big three sometimes. And if you look as a complementary piece to the big two that they already have with Tyrese Maxey, an outside perimeter player who can flash to the basket, and Embiid, who can both work inside and outside. This guy, by position and by style, is a perfect complement to him.
Yes, it should make them better. And again, he did show flashes of somewhat of his old self in the playoffs last year. The problem is he doesn't do it long enough. And again, you're pairing him with a guy that's even more injured. Like Embiid, literally, he's injured every playoffs. Like he doesn't play in the playoffs. He's always injured in the playoffs. Always. Even if he's playing, he's injured.
I don't know that it immediately makes them the favorite. Boston is going to get that consideration again, bringing back a similar team. Although your man Porzingis going to be out for the beginning of next season, as well as maybe the rest of his life, unfortunately. Because when you have an undiagnosable, mysterious injury that they're treating, I know all about this.
I know. You
having sat in that hospital bed for 5 days, having various people come in and saying, "Well, we're going to have to cut your toe off, Mr. DeForest.
Want to remove body parts?
Don't worry about it. You'll still be able to function. You'll be kicking field goals." Look, Lou Groza.
There you go.
All right. No, Lou Groza had all of his toes, didn't he? Lou the Toe Groza. He was just known as the toe.
Yeah.
Who was the guy with the Saints that kicked the 60-yard field goal? Dempsey?
Yes.
Yeah. Was it Tom Dempsey?
Tom Dempsey. Yes.
There you go. The memory's not totally shot. I almost feel like Joe Biden sometimes staring at this camera going, what the fuck are you trying to think of here, Defo? Jim Sarney, another note, Sarney writing the show today, but he's right. They signed Sam Reinhart for huge. $69 million.
That's huge.
Which, what was that? Hockey contracts are great because compared to basketball, the $69 million covers the rest of his lifetime. Right? He'll be playing. He'll be older than Gordie Howe, and he'll still be playing.
Like the money's similar to the NBA, but it's like double the years. Like the NBA, it's 160 for 3 years.
Yeah.
The hockey will be 120 for like 15.
Yeah. It's true. It's amazing. Yeah, 11 years, 89 million. You're like, wow,
Like 11
that's
years.
a lot of money. 89 million. Oh, 11 years. Okay. That's chump change compared to baseball and basketball, and football now is getting that way too. But yeah, obviously there's some kind of appeal to this shit because and good. Let the money go to the players. I mean, it's exorbitant. Tony Segreto didn't agree with my premise that it was a little bit out of proportion, even with the standards that we're used to in terms of sports salaries. And today, of course, speaking of sports salaries, greatest move ever, Bobby Bonilla Day, a celebration day, as Bobby Bo. And I was reading some details of it. They had a big article on it in the New York Post this morning. And they were talking about how I probably should dig this up. But and then now is Reno standing by, Lubie? Or
No.
Shutout City? Okay.
He's here. Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, let me try and dig this up here.
Oh, the thing you said this morning, I never heard. I always thought he signed a 25.
Yeah, I want to read that so I get that right. Yeah.
I never heard that he signed actually a normal deal at the time. And it just ballooned because of how poorly it was.
All right, here are the details. For the uninitiated, Bonilla signed with the Mets on a 5-year, $29 million deal in 1991, the richest contract in team sports at the time.
91.
Bonilla didn't live up to the high expectations put on him after he signed the contract and was eventually traded to the Orioles before ending up with the Marlins, where he won a World Series title in 1997.
Yeah.
And then he returned to the Mets for the 1999 season. All right, here are the details.
Yeah.
The Mets worked out a deal with Bonilla and his agent, Dennis Gilbert, following that year to buy out the contract in January 2000, with the agreement stipulating that the franchise would defer payment of $5.9 million it owed him with 8% interest and spread it out until from 2011 to 2035. Okay, so this thing goes on to 2035. But it was $5.9 million and 8% interest. All right, so here's where it gets interesting. At the time, ownership, led by Fred Wilpon, expected returns on investments made with Bernie Madoff profits that they had hoped to use to pay the buyout. Instead, the team got swept up in the Madoff Ponzi scheme fallout, and the original $5.9 million had ballooned to $29.8 million, which breaks down to the annual $1.19 million payment that Bonilla receives every year.
But I don't get them.
How did that happen, though?
I mean, by Madoff, why would 8% is on millions is a great ROI, but it's thousands or hundreds of that. It's not like millions.
Yeah, that was the way it was written, and that was the explanation. And to tell you the truth, Lubie,
it makes less sense.
There's one piece of the connection missing, isn't there? How did that 5.9 because of the Madoff shit become 29.8? How is that possible?
Like I don't know. Like I don't understand that. It multiplied by 5 times.
Bonnilla's money would somehow have to have been tied in with this, no?
Yes, but then why would?
Or because they failed to make the payment, this was what ended up happening.
I guess I don't know.
I don't know. But anyway, it's good for Bobby Bonilla. It's not necessarily any big deal for us. But should be a holiday, right? July 4th, too. I mean, you got anything going, Lubie? What are you doing for July 4th?
Really don't. That's the funny thing is I love 4th of July, and Shirley loves it, too. I don't know. It is my mother-in-law's birthday, by the way. So happy birthday, my mother-in-law. We're going to go to one of your favorite haunts because, of course, her birthday's on a Monday, and she's a big fan of celebrating it the day of, which, I mean, most of us are. Just sometimes
that's a good thing, practical. Yeah. Why not?
But Monday's literally the worst day in the restaurant industry. Like, everyone we deal with that we'd normally want to go to are closed. But
Cafe Seville?
Joey is not. So
great. You're going? Wow.
The first time to Cafe Seville, our second time, and where we went off board last time, and we enjoyed our time there, but we went with a dish that
don't go with the board. Yeah.
Told us to get, and it was good, but it wasn't as good as the things you guys who have gone there a million times told us. And we're going full board. We're just
I'm a big fan of any seafood dish they have.
That's the thing. The seafood they do there is
well, and then the other thing they'll do that they don't necessarily always say, but When let's say that there's a type of fish that you want, and you want a different type of sauce on it, right? Because I'm a big fan of the Santa Fe sauce that they do. It's kind of a red, sort of semi-spicy sauce that really is a great compliment any seafood dish. So let's say that they say they have snapper franchise, right? But you're not a big franchise guy, so you go ahead and you can order it with a different sauce.
Nice.
And have it the way you want. So that's a nice thing there. But
We're
enjoy that. Enjoy that very much. All right. Enough talking food. We're going to come back with more here. A lot more to deal with. As we get into July, many things happening, including Wimbledon opening day today.
There you go.
My girl had to drop out. Rino Cerbone. Wow.
So it's
and she was favored. She was the low-priced favorite. Do you get your money back if they scratch? Is this like betting the Kentucky Derby futures?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if they don't even play
if they don't play a single game,
they don't play a point. I mean, how can you take that as a bet? I mean, you bet.
Yeah, you can't. That bet would have to be returned.
You know more than I do, but that would make no sense from a gambling perspective.
Well, like if you bet a horse, it's different in the futures. If you're betting a horse in the Derby, like let's say you see some horse in February and thinking that horse has Derby potential, so instead of taking a 4-1 that the horse was going to go off on Derby day, you can get like 50-1 in the future book. But then if the horse doesn't run, you don't get your money back. You're betting that the horse will be in the race. Sabalenka was only 3-1, a little over 3-1 to win the thing. So I'd imagine that's going to diminish the odds substantially on Iga. We still don't know how to pronounce her last name correctly. Swiatek.
Swiatek, I guess.
Is that it? Swiatek.
It's probably.
It's a Schwa?
I guess.
What are you talking about? It's a Schwa. Can't be a Schwa. Leslie Visser's crazy on this. I love her to death. Leslie, we love you, man. Authority on virtually everything. If she says it's Swiatek, I'm going to go with Swiatek. But do you ever hear anybody calling her the Schwa? No. Well, she was 4-1 and would certainly stand out as a favorite. Rybakina has won before. She won, a couple of years ago at Wimbledon. Coco, does Coco have a shot here? Maybe. She's playing well, but I don't know that she's playing well enough to win it all. And then here's one for you. This was the winner last year, right? Marketa Vandrousova. Does she come back? 40-1 to repeat. Everybody thinks that was a fluke, Lubie. How about that? And on the men's side, Yannick Sinner, an overwhelming favorite, along with Alcaraz. I don't think Novak has the goods to do it. Do you? Novak Djokovic?
So he is playing, because I thought I saw something that he was
he's going to play. He just had knee surgery for a torn meniscus. I guess it wasn't too bad.
Okay. So I thought it was
he's coming back.
That would suck to Nadal or Djokovic. I know they're.
Can never discount him, huh?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't see him winning it if he just came off major knee surgery, but if he's playing, he has a chance.
How about the Ichabod Crane of tennis, Daniil Medvedev at 12-1, Lubie? Medvedev, does he have a shot here? This guy is he's a trip. I was watching that Breakpoint, and that they had Medvedev was going against Zverev, who's trying to make a comeback, and it was like Rodman going against Zoe. I mean, he just has a way of getting under the guy's skin. Stop just who was that? Stevenson that blew in Zoe's ear.
Yes.
How crazy is that, man? When somebody does that to you, is it not disturbing, Lubie? Somebody did that to me recently, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, that's weird.
Real weird, yeah. They come up from behind you and blow in your ear.
That was blowing my ear.
It wasn't a woman.
I was gonna say, I'm like, especially if it's a dude.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck is that?
Get away from me.
Get away from me, you scumbag. All right, it looks like a scratch on Reno.
There's no Reno, and I literally talked to him last night. Like he wasn't crashed.
We'll have a shot maybe tomorrow.
We'll try and get him
with that. Yeah, because we really need his perspective on this.
No, we haven't had him on this whole time. Like the last time we had him on was, I think, early Stanley Cup when they were.
He redefined the Stanley Cup celebration.
No, that's what's funny is, look, people have eaten out of it and they've drinking out of it and they've done weird crap with it. And you did see Kachuk go in the ocean. The thing that went viral, that was on every network, nationally and internationally, was him. And
yes,
in all of it, it's always showing him like a madman,
grating the cheese, like he's in that commercial for what is that? An insurance commercial?
I think so. Yeah.
Where the guy is like getting buried under the grated cheese. He's just the waiter's going. He's sweating and everything. He's going, when, say when, and the guy's just looking like a goofball. Cerbone was right on top of it like that.
Yep.
Holy shit, that was a great scene. All right, we're going to come back with more in a moment here on the Monday edition. Peel yourself off the map Monday edition of the Defo Show. I almost thought it was Friday, Louis. That's not good.
I
That's
know.
Joe
So, well, this
Biden-esque.
week's all over the place. This is going to be a weird week. 4th of July is a Thursday.
Very, very relaxing weekend all the way around, though.
Yeah,
Stanley was out of town. I don't know if that had
Oh.
anything to... Was that just coincidence?
It's 100%. I love my wife, but when she's gone, it's like a layer of stress.
Yeah, the dogs are at peace. Everybody's happy. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that. I guess I got to throw this in, in case she's tuned in upstairs here, which is unlikely. But
It looks like Shirley.
we all missed her a great deal. That guy, Lappa, that I mentioned earlier, such a great salesman. He had like a sticker on his coffin from a local car
Oh,
dealership.
Jesus. Oh, God.
And I think he traded out the funeral.
He didn't sponsor.
That would be something that a radio salesperson would do, right? They already had trade with like Levitt Weinstein. It's 8:44.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Mr. Pentangeli, were you a member of the Corleone family? Did you serve under Capo regime under Vito Corleone, also known as the Godfather?
I never knew no Godfather.
Mr. Pentangeli, you are contradicting a sworn statement you previously made to me and signed. I ask you again, sir, here and now under oath, were you at any time a member of a crime organization headed by Michael Corleone?
I don't know nothing about that. Oh, I was in the olive oil business with his father, but that was a long time ago, that's all.
We have a sworn affidavit. We have it. Your sworn affidavit that you murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny this confession?
Look, the FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone, because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies. Everything. And I kept saying, Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. So I said, yeah, sure.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
Here, let me ask you a question. What do you
I wanted this. That's what I wanted. I like Tony, but I don't need more Tony.
All right, welcome back to the show here. The Pentangeli testimony throws everybody a little bit off their game. It always does, although always relevant, isn't it? Yeah, they said Michael Corleone did this. Yeah, we would have been seeing a lot more of that were it not for the debate the other night. We would have been seeing a lot of these trials. Would have been much more fun than witnessing what was about to transpire, I think, here in the United States of America. On the 4th, right before the 4th of July, Lubie. Should we salute the flag?
Sure.
Little Lubie is going to be studying. How many years of Bible study is Little Lubie going to be in?
I really don't know.
When they start this shit in the first grade. I mean, what the fuck?
Republicans playing Project 2025, and I'm like, I don't think you can soft sell that thing. It's just the liberals not realizing this is really what the Republic. First of all, it probably is what the Republicans have wanted to do for 4 decades, but that doesn't mean it's not scary.
Gay people won't be allowed outside.
I'm like, dude, what are you talking? How do you soft sell that fucking disaster? Like, Republicans hide that thing. They're like, no, it's not a real thing, even though it's on his website and it is the only thing that they have close to a platform. Yeah. Even the Republicans are like, no, don't look for that. Don't look at it. Don't read it. Like, get out of here. Like, if he wins, it's like that's the thing is like,
yeah.
Have to get
it wasn't exactly Lincoln Douglas those debates.
No,
the debate with Joe B.
Both of them
and
were
Trumpster.
Both candidates are bad. Look, that's the thing. I'm not.
Wow, what a disaster, huh?
81, 82. The other guy's 78, and literally a 34-time plus because he'll get convicted of this other stuff. The other stuff are actually better cases than the 34.
You know what I mean? Whether the criminal charges or whatever. I mean, it's just the entire life history of this guy. And like I said, I mean, how any self-respecting woman could possibly. Want to vote, and I know intelligent women that I have great respect for. They're a handful of them are Trumpsters.
Yeah, it's weird.
You're like,
you know how you want, but when a dude openly tells you "fuck you,"
hey, screwing this woman while his wife's giving birth to their beloved son, and they're still together. I don't think I could have survived that. I mean, I guess what. At a certain, there's no breaking point when it comes to having money, right?
I don't know.
Melania wouldn't be on those private jet rides all the time. I don't know. You don't see her around that much anymore, right?
No, they look. We don't have to. The whole thing's weird to me.
It's very strange. It's unfortunate.
We are right now where I'm defending a guy who literally looked like a cadaver, and they're defending a guy who's
Steve Lampa at his funeral looked better than Joe Biden did during the debate. Jesus. I had to work in a little lap into the equation there. Guy did kind of give me a lifeline a couple of times. So I didn't realize this too, Louie. I met this guy when he was the general sales manager of Channel 39 when it first signed on, and that had to be early 80s, maybe.
Wow,
early 80s, yeah. And he was the guy that assigned us to do. It was the Kickoff Classic in 1984. The original Kickoff Classic followed the Hurricanes' first national championship. So what? They won that in the 84 Orange Bowl from the 83 season. Mm-hmm. And with that was, with Schnelly. It was a plan that a lot of people laughed at. But I think so. That's the chronology of it. So it was 1984. I think they played in August in the original Kickoff Classic. Okay, and I think that did they lose that game? I don't know, but this guy had my buddy and I with our little sports video company make 4 preview shows for a game that was going to be essentially an exhibition played at an oddball time, and I think he was great because he was always looking at his shoes when it came to the money. So, you ever deal with somebody like that? As soon as the subject of the money comes up, they're like. Even paying a check. I don't know. Are you going to have to reach for this check at Seville tonight? Do you know? Is it preordained? Who's going to pay?
We have a. Yes. I don't think. I mean, I can.
Don't you hate it when those arrangements don't work out like you expected? Uncle Joey was going to pay. What are you fucking talking about? He never intended to pay. He's flat broke. Didn't you know his house caught fire the other day and he had no insurance? What the fuck? I didn't know that. Didn't bring a credit card or no, that's always an awkward situation. The other one that gets me too, Lubie, and I've done this many times, and you hate to start counting, but I've always had this kind of, I don't know what it is, some kind of mathematical getting ripped off paranoia that I've had, where in taxi cabs, even if it's on an expense account, you still don't like it when it clicks over while you're at a stoplight. It's like you're not even moving, you fuckhead. How could we have gone another 1/8 of a mile?
It's the only good thing about Uber is that it's a set thing.
Hey, listen, Omar, if you continue to, charge me like this, I'm not paying.
The taxi stress me out. I just watch the thing the whole fucking time, and it's like, dude, we haven't gone anywhere.
I have parking meter paranoia. I really do. Always troubled about a parking meter, especially with these newfangled systems where you're not sure if, they got the proper communication. Next thing you know, you come out, there's a ticket on your car, and what? At the very least, you have to go through some kind of hoops to get rid of it, if you can, right?
Yeah.
How many times have you ended up just paying some
just
ticket
pay it.
because it wasn't worth the trouble to argue about it?
What do you mean? It's funny. The one time I fought, I usually just get attorneys because it's like $80 or $90 now, maybe 100.
Ticket clinic, yeah, that was
And
good.
they always get rid of it, and you don't ever have to worry about it. The one time, because my buddy had fought one and won, and I was like, okay, I got a simple ticket. I was like, fuck it, I'll just fight it. I missed the thing in the mail. I ended up getting my license suspended. And I ended up paying like hundreds of dollars. I ended up having to do through a whole rigmarole to save like $90. So yes, before and after, if I ever do have something with law enforcement of some kind, I just fucking pay, because you're going to get screwed if you try to not pay. So you might as well just.
And you can never find anybody that can give you a definitive answer about that this is going to be, crossed off your record or whatever.
Yep.
So you end up getting fucked either way. I'll never forget when when South Beach first became in vogue. I parked my car with a valet, and then a long time later, I got a notice in the mail that my license was being suspended.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, why would that be? And they pointed to a parking ticket I had gotten while the valet had supposedly parked my car on South Beach. So not only did they park my car illegally somewhere on one of those side streets, but then they didn't give me the ticket that I had received, nor did they ever consider paying it. That would be, imagine how that would blow up on Let's Eat South Florida.
Oh, God.
Speaking of Mike Mayo.
Oh, God.
And I'm facing like a suspension of my license and a cancellation. I think I found out about it because my insurance company was about to cancel my policy.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, what the fuck is this from? Right? I had nothing to do with it. I made up a bunch of things about Michael Corleone. All right. What level of attention will you be paying to Major League Baseball, Louis, over the next couple of months, now that we're at the halfway point of the season, essentially? They did make some changes. I think they needed to make some changes to the home run derby process. I'm not sure if these will ease the burden that is on the players, and I think also on the viewers, Louis. Does it not get old by the time they get to the championship round?
I haven't watched the last three. I used to watch it religiously.
It becomes ponderous after a while.
I don't even know the rules. It's weird. I haven't watched it in years, and they don't get the same level of athlete, and it's become like
the head-to-head thing was no good. The fact that the champions would, invariably, it was almost like the Sports Illustrated cover jinx, no?
Yep.
Guy would win the home run derby with a sensational performance, and or even be second. Remember Hamilton?
Yep.
Did he not win that? I think when he hit like 500 home runs.
Because he did in the early going.
Yeah.
And he shot his load, and he was a disaster the rest of it.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's hitting like 3 home runs there and swinging and missing at pitches that are balloons that look like beach balls any other time.
Yep.
But yeah, didn't he slump badly after that?
Yes.
There have been a number of guys that's happened to.
They changed it to try and incorporate the first round, but the problem is they now have a clock, and that's weird. And then people like Pete, the guy from the Mets, cheat the system where you're supposed to wait for the ball to be out, but they never wait. They just keep chucking.
No, just keep firing. Yeah. Imagine there's a steward's inquiry on a fucking home run derby. Unbelievable. Can't even run that legit. The desire to cheat in sports is just an overwhelming challenge to try and contend with, and it's only going to get worse when you're talking about not just cheating on the field, but the outlying parameters of what it takes to run a sports program on the college level. My God, this is going to be an unbelievable free-for-all coming up. What will we come to find will be the most atrocious and egregious violation of the guidelines by which the sport should be run? Who's going to be guilty of that? Alabama? We never hear anything about any indiscretions at Alabama. Imagine this: they won all those national championships under Saban.
Yep.
And we're completely in compliance with virtually everything that the guidelines, almost impossible suppressive guidelines that are placed upon them, while everybody else was out there cheating, and they still managed to win. Pretty amazing.
Yes, it was very impressive that they did nothing wrong the entire
Ohio
time.
State, same thing. Yeah. It's incredible, Lubie. I don't know how that happens. I mean, that's really a tribute to those great coaches, huh? Urban Meyer and Nick. All right, so now the Mets are screaming that their bullpen has been an arson squad of late. After they had gotten to the point, I think they finally got to like 500, 39, something like that. And they were talking about, very optimistically, talking about how, and they'd won like 12 out of 14 or some, really favorable number of games in the last couple of weeks. and doing it in dramatic, including winning 2 over the Yankees, right? Didn't they slaughter the Yankees in those 2 games? The Yankees, who had been slumping at the time, but bounced back a little bit yesterday with Aaron Judge having, wow. I mean, have you watched what this guy's done the last month, Aaron Judge, Louie? Sick, sick numbers. He hit like 400 with like 100 home runs.
Yep, he's hitting the living shit out of it. I mean, look, the Yankees have had a really interesting season. What's interesting about it is the Orioles are still hanging around. And they have I know they've done a really good job, but they don't have the recognizable talent that the Yankees.
No, I probably couldn't name you an Oriole player. Unbelievable. Is Eddie Murray still playing for the Orioles?
No.
Jim Palmer making any starts recently?
No.
What the hell? Paul Blair making some catches in center field. He was great, man. Talk about a defensive stalwart. That guy was fantastic. So it's interesting there. But Diaz got suspended. He shows up. He looked like Lester Hayes coming on the field for the Oakland Raiders back in the day. He had stickum on both hands and like on his face. He had stuff stuck to his breasts. I mean, you couldn't touch this guy without, just being all of a sudden feeling like you were entrapped in a wall of Velcro. It was amazing. And so he gets suspended for 10 days for having an illegal substance on him. And since that time, though, the whole thing has fallen apart. They're getting crushed like a grape. So they're screaming in New York. Now here, we've seen an unfortunate number of dramatic victories of late by the Miami Marlins. And yet, well, it's only in conjunction, and there's still like 20 some odd games under 500. They lost yesterday.
They can play their eyeballs out, and they're still going to be like 10 games short.
And they have one guy that's helping them immensely. This Tanner Scott out of the bullpen throws the ball like 97 miles an hour, left-hander. Yeah. Good player. And so supposedly he's like the number 1 guy on the trade bait list there from the Marlins. We need some more nondescript, never to succeed or even get to the big league level prospects, don't we? Lubie, I mean, we need more Sixto Sanchez's.
Yeah, don't worry. They're going to fuck it up. Anyone that's good at all, they're trying to get rid of. And I still don't know why, because it's never worked for them.
How is this going to play out? I mean, so you're essentially putting yourself in a position to be pathetic for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
At a time where interest has drained to maybe what? Is it at near or at its lowest level ever in this franchise?
I mean, what's annoying is it was starting to build, because they did go to the playoffs, and they did look like they had a young manager that everyone liked, and they had
some feel-good guys on the team.
Exec that people actually knew and ate. And they threw it all away. So yes, it feels like it's worse than ever, because there's still no explanation for it. It wasn't like the roster was a highly paid roster. Like
nobody's speaking either. Did you notice that?
Yeah, well, they're not.
Have you seen one Bruce Sherman statement, State of the Union address, or this guy William Bendix they brought in there? What is it? Peter Bendix?
Peter Bendix. You want to
William Bendix?
Peter Bendix.
Guy's 1,000 years old. I think he started on Wagon Train. Anyway, I mean, when does this guy ever speak or address the public? Do they ever? I mean, you're halfway through the season when you have somebody stand up there and say, "Well, you know what? It's going real well. I'm really proud of Skip Schumacher and the kids."
Well, that's the thing. What can they say? The manager's gone already, but he's not gone. They're trading everyone, even though there's really no reason behind trading everyone.
I mean, for what? Is Louis Ryan still leading the league, National League in batting average? You have to look that up. We probably should have researched that a little bit before we came on the show here. A light day for bettors out there. Of course, the racetracks scaled back to just a scant few. I think you have to be a sick degenerate to be betting these tracks. No? Parks, I guess, would be the equivalent of Santa Anita back in the heyday on the cards that are available today. You get like Beulah Park, Fort Erie, which is that somewhere in Western Canada, Louis? You wouldn't know. Finger Lakes. Always was tempted. Can you believe this, Lubie? All those years at Syracuse there, 4 years, and I never made it to Finger Lakes Racetrack, Canandaigua, New York.
Sad.
Can you imagine? How is that possible? We went to Vernon Downs almost every night, and that was maybe an equal distance away, but never made it to Finger Lakes. And I was, inclined to do that sort of thing back then. because there's certainly, it was a better option than going to classes. All right, I don't see it. Louis Arise, is he still atop the National League?
When I look at it, because I guess what's weird is he went from National League to National League, so he should.
He was just coming on with the Marlins. He was starting to really get his stroke together.
I don't see his number. I don't see him when I look at top averages. So I don't know. I'll have to do more research and look at his average and do math compared to everyone else.
I have everything but what I need here in my New York type. Yeah, unbelievable. All right, good being with you. What are the plans here, really? July 4th, are we doing something the 4th, the 5th? What are we doing?
Today, we are experiencing our time at Corvina.
Okay. Okay. That's on the Mayo show. All right.
Mayo.
Yeah.
Thursday, we're off. I mean, I'm not.
Thursday, we're doing nothing, right?
4th of July. Friday, we may do something your birthday. I'll leave that to you. It's your birthday. So
yeah. Maybe I'll sleep in.
Morning. I was thinking we would just do Mayo because it's a track. Like that's
that sounds good.
To celebrate his birthday, to be paid and get free forms and free food and drink.
I enjoy those sessions immensely.
We don't need to miss that.
Win or lose, it's always great.
And I presume we'll do shows the next 2 days, So.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll do that. All right.
Tomorrow, hopefully, we have Reno.
314, Andy says. The rise is down to 314. He was up like in the 330s there for a little while, so he must be slumping of late. All right, Sarni wants to know, I'll leave this to you, Louis. Can France beat Belgium? We know how the professor feels about France. That they could fuck up anything.
I was going to say, I know that's England, and England actually almost lost to Slovakia and scored in the last minute of bonus time and then the first minute of extra time because they was tied.
Yeah.
So they did find a way to beat Slovakia, but they almost lost to fucking Slovakia. England.
Is the knock on Belgium the wooden shoes?
Belgium always falls apart. That's the problem with Belgium. They actually have a lot of talent. They're always like one of the favorites, and they always fall apart.
Which one is that? Is that the Euros or the Copa America?
No, that's the Euros. And I don't know if Belgium is the wooden shoes. Isn't that the Netherlands? That's the wooden shoes.
Shows you what we know. We should always bring up soccer on the show. And you sound like an expert. I mean, you're like some guy named Seamus compared to me. It's pathetic. Sorry about that, Jim. I'm going to go with Belgium. Fuck France. That would be my stance on that.
Yeah, well, fuck France.
All right, we got to get out of here. Thanks so much for being with us. So you have this experience at Corvina on the Mike Mayo Show at 1 o'clock today, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow. And hopefully be able to connect with the great Rino Cerbone, who is always very entertaining. And thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. It was great being with you. Until next time, for Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. See you next time as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.